This is Allie
And Rachel.
with Polyglam, and we are hanging out with Rob on Front Row Live.
What's up, guys? Rob here, Front Row Live Entertainment. I am hanging out in the studio with 2/3 of Polyglam, and I'm excited to be sitting down with you and talking to you. There's been a lot going on since the release of your first single, and I feel like the evolution in the music has pretty much been drastic from song to song. You guys have basically like discovered yourselves more and more, your voices, the writing process, just like your music in general throughout every release. I want to talk about like that first initial debut and leading up to today. Like, how do you feel that that's kind of evolved for you?
Well, first of all, thank you. That's very nice. From the beginning to now, I feel like our writing process has changed drastically, and our production specifically. But
Yeah, I mean, we had written that song about, I don't know, 3 years prior to the release.
Yeah.
We basically had an EP that was like done, and we were just sitting on our hands being like, do.
we wrote so many songs in 2018, 2019.
Wow.
And then, yeah, we didn't do anything with it. And then one day we woke up and we're like, I guess we can release it now.
I think
something changed, you know?
How do you sit on something like that for so long? I mean, when we listen to the music that you've released, it's like, wow, this is gold.
Aw,
But like when you are sitting with it, like how do you not release it to your audience?
you and my parents would get along. My dad's like, it's not about the best you can do. It's about the best you can do in this lifetime.
Oh,
Get it
I
together.
like that.
So I think that actually kind of stuck with me because that's the thing is I think we were also very fixated on feeling like we've grown a lot and are better writers now. Why would we release older stuff?
Yeah.
But it's kind of like a diary where you don't go back and rewrite diary entries. And I feel like our music has evolved and yeah.
Yeah, I mean, basically, yeah, once we released that song, like we started releasing all of our old songs, and then kind of the newer stuff started coming out like later, like, you know, songs like Blue Heights or You Might, like are definitely new, and we're older and more mature and have been working together, so our, you know, our shorthand is that much better. And yeah, I mean, we also ended up getting our own studio, and that, you know, that was a big thing.
That changed everything.
Yeah.
I think we were cobbling
The
together.
moment you knew you made it.
Yeah, we were the first few songs we put out. We did write years ago, but we did revisit them. We worked on them, you know, later. But I think we were, you know, cobbling together this EP in other people's studios. Like whenever they'd leave town, we'd jump in, and everything changed when we got our own spot. And I feel like all the new music has come out of that.
we can like actually focus on it and have a more cohesion, because we're not just like, oh, I guess we're using, you know, that drum kit, which is so fun to like have like a variety of instruments to use, but like also to really understand the tools around you and like know what they're capable of, and also experiment with just that, rather than being like, okay, are we getting sounds? Okay, good, record. I think helped a lot.
I love the fact that this was pretty organic, and it seems like it's been organic the entire way. You didn't set out to make a band. You guys basically like discovered each other in not a normal kind of way. But I'm curious, like when you first realized that the three of you were musicians, the three of you could have been something bigger when you guys formed together. Like, what was that process like? And you know, what was that first experience of being in a session together or writing together for that first time?
The first time we decided to come together and make a song, it was a joke. And I think that honestly was probably the best thing that could have happened, because it took the pressure off. Of course, the three of us knew the three of us were musicians and work in the industry, but it was just fun, pure fun, because it was so stupid.
We basically wrote a song. We were all house sitting, dog sitting, and we wrote a song from the dog's perspective of the fact that her parents had left her. And it just like, we were just messing around, and then we're like, oh, this was really fun, we should do that again. And then we kept making songs.
We kept being like, they kept getting less and less funny after that, because I think we're like not trying to talk about that we actually like making music
this is
together.
a single.
Yeah, totally.
But and all of a sudden, we were just like hanging out so much and like getting, we just got along, and I think all of our strengths and styles like really worked well, complemented each other, and yeah, it was just like we never. I don't even know if we. Are we in a band? Did we decide?
I know we like never discussed it.
Is this a thing?
But yes, for sure, we're official, going steady as a band.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's official.
Yeah, it has been official since day one. But yeah, I think that's always just the best when you have great friends, and Rach and John are so talented. I just feel so lucky every day that I get to make music with them. And we all do very different stuff. So I feel like we all have our strengths, and that makes our songs what they are.
I love the fact that like I said, it's organic, but I'm curious, like when you first formed and started working on this, like you obviously have experience from the music industry, but it's a different kind of experience because now you are the band, you are the leads, you are, in front, right? So was that a challenge to get used to being the lead, being the band this time around?
Totally. I think
Yeah,
so.
way harder. Way harder.
I think the three of us have worked on hundreds of records for other people for years, and it is amazing. We all love that. It's the best thing, and we all still do that, which is so exciting. But yeah, being on this end is completely different. Sitting on this couch with you, so fun, but we're so bad at it.
Yeah, we're like, can we crawl back into our hole and like keep doing what we're doing? But I mean, it's part of the process, like of trying to get your music out. Like it also, like when we work with other artists, we're like, wow, I can't believe you do this.
Yeah, totally. And I feel like, we're part of the end of the spectrum with their records where we're not in front. We do our job and then we go home.
So now you can focus. Yeah.
Now it's like, oh, when we go home, it's still the job all the time.
Yeah.
So yeah, getting people to hear your music, like how does that work? That's the biggest thing.
Yeah. I mean, it's
Press conference.
Yeah, press conference. I would like to say that it's hard. It's hard. There's so much incredible music out there, and like, so many bands trying to do it, and it's like there's so many people willing to listen, but like, obviously, your hands are a little bit tied as far as like trying to get your music out there because there's so much, but also because there's an algorithm that's deciding what it's pushing for people, and for better or for worse, like, so it's just like trying to figure out how to be our authentic selves while also putting music out there and trying to reach as many ear holes as humanly possible.
Yeah. And as far as like being authentic, the sound that you guys are creating, how did you come about to this? What is it about this sound that really resonated to all three of you? Because the three of you come from completely different musical backgrounds as well. So it's not like, oh, I worked with this artist, so we sound like this artist, right? Like you created something fresh, something new, something different. So how did that come about, and what was that process like?
I don't think there was a process. I think, I mean, maybe there is, but at least for us, I think we're just like, oh, that sounds cool. And just kind of going with the moment and trying to be in that flow state of like, oh, I like how that sounds. Oh, what would happen if we try this? I don't think we ever thought like, oh, like it'd be cool if we could, have that guitar part from.
Yeah, we've never looked at something else and been like, I want to make a song like that. I think we obviously have influences, but
yeah. And we have inspiration, and like sometimes it's nice to be like, oh, that's an interesting choice. But I think we've all been in production for so long that it's like we don't even think about like like, oh, what can we do? Like we're just going with the flow, and like sometimes it's like, oh, a piano would be nice there. Like, what haven't we tried this? It's just very experimental.
It's all trial and error, but we definitely do have like a Polyglam sound, which has been fun. And people, especially if we are producing something for someone else, people are like, oh, I definitely hear like the Polyglam production. So That's cool.
That's cool. You have your own signature sound.
Yeah. It's been fun.
With the music that you've released so far, obviously there's a debut EP in the works, which is exciting and nerve-wracking at the same time. But the music that you've released so far, more specifically this year, with You Might and Blue Heights, talk to me a little bit about these two tracks and why did you feel like they were the right, almost introduction to this upcoming debut EP?
They were the ones done.
Rachel.
No, but I mean, you know, we knew we wanted to put it on an EP, and like, I think both Blue Heights and You Might were some of our favorites, and we're like, okay, we want to.
We definitely knew that we wanted them on the EP, and we wanted those to be the first two singles.
Yeah, I think our whole process has been trying to race to, like, there's no thought prior. It's just like, okay, and we're doing this, and now we're doing that, and I think that's kind of what makes this band kind of work, is like there's no preconceived notions of what should happen. It's just like, oh, we have this song, we have multiple songs, like, why not that one? Okay, sounds good.
Totally. Yeah, no, I think that's about right. But we specifically, I mean, Blue Heights, I feel like was the first song of our new era of being in our new studio and deep diving production in a new way. And also just the way we recorded that song and wrote that song, I feel like was a new chapter from all the last. And we felt like, okay, I don't know, we felt like we had really evolved as musicians by the time we got to record that.
I think Blue Heights was the first time where we knew that the scratch track might make it into the final version, and so we're like, okay, well, we have to make sure that the scratch track is good. But it was just, I think we spent a lot of time on those songs to try to make them right, and yeah, it just, I think something's clicked in the last like year and a half, and it feels like us as people and us as musicians and us as a collective have just been in a new era, and it just feels cool.
Yeah.
I love that it feels like there's no pressure whatsoever. It's like, this is what we're feeling. This is what I mean, maybe there's pressure now on this interview, but but like, it doesn't feel like there's pressure as you guys are creating the music. Is that safe to say? Or do you feel like there's a lot of pressure because you're still, in a sense, trying to put your name out there or trying to put the music out there?
I think it's both. I think pressure is a good thing, though. Like, pressure is a privilege, where I feel like I think everyone needs that a little bit. Like, you need the deadline. You need to feel like, oh, this is important. Because if you don't feel that way, then I don't think you care that much. So I do think there's a balance. And I think the way we're able to do this is because we're just, at the end of the day, like, having so much fun. And this is what we want to be doing.
Yeah.
So, but it's nice that no one is down our throats about what we have to do.
Deadline, yeah.
Or not so much deadline, just like we have full creative control.
Yeah.
And
there's no pressure on how the music should sound.
yeah.
But there is pressure of like, you need to finish this, and this is what you need, like you need to do this interview, or like whatever the artist thing.
No, this is the best part of our day. We love you.
It's giving us a break from like going back into and trying to finish songs. That
It's I think it's just the balance of, how are people going to hear this music? We want people to listen to it and hear it. Obviously, we want people to love it. But I think part of it is like, we just want it to get into people's hands. And how does that happen? And that's where the pressure is, where I'm like, I just want people to enjoy it, but also just find it.
Yeah.
Like, even if they find it and don't enjoy it, like, that's a win. I'm
As
like,
long
you
as they found
found it.
Something's happening. Yeah. I want to talk about the vocals because they're so soothing. I'm listening to the tracks and it's just relaxing from start to finish, and I love that, and I love the vibe that this music is like is giving me.
Thank you.
So talk to me a little about your vocals and recording your vocals. Is this your natural vocal tone? Is this something that you've been working towards for this music? Did the music just speak and the vocals just happen? Like, what was that process like for you?
I think the vocals have evolved throughout every new song we've done, but I do have like an atmospheric, like, I love this kind of, I feel like our music could fit in film, and that's feel like what I'm thinking about too when I'm recording. Like, I especially as like a string player, because I'm a violinist. I've played on so many scores. I'm an actor, so I've been in films. I see movies when I'm singing.
Yeah.
And I feel the full story, and I feel like it could fit in so many ways, and I love that about our songs. But yeah, I think a lot of our songs, my voice is more like, it's pretty high sometimes. Like, but I think with a lot of the new stuff, it's changing too, which is cool. And recording them, Rach just yells at me and I do what she says. That's why we're laughing, because it's usually her vocal producing me and being like, no. Or like, yes.
Allie has, I think, started trying, like I said, our first songs were joke songs. And so like she put on like this air of like indie folk artist. But then I think throughout it, like she's found her own voice, and like, you know, you just naturally have a great quality in your voice. And I think you've I think also made that turn of like really coming into it and realizing what you can do with it. And I think that's very magical to watch.
Thank you. Yeah, I think because we started as a joke, like making these songs, I feel like I wasn't vulnerable enough to sing like myself. So I was like trying to just sing in any way that was funny. But I think through that, it was actually a great exercise, because they've seen me sing kind of in every way. And it's helped find, my own voice for sure. And I think I have a very strange, people think my speaking voice is strange. So
What?
not in a bad way. They're just like, you have such a unique speaking voice. So I feel like maybe that's just, I don't know.
Crazy.
Thank you.
As far as the production goes, how do you separate the artist with the producer? Like when you guys are creating your music, since you guys are all doing this collectively?
That's an amazing question.
How do we separate it? The squirrels are dancing on our ceiling right now. I think when you're playing, you can't be too critical of yourself. And so we leave that to the other two who are not playing in that moment. But no, I think we have a easy time. As we've gone, we've had an easier time to kind of letting go and letting, because when you're producing, you're, kind of, it's not like a judgment in a negative sense, just being like, okay, is this serving the song and like the emotion that it's supposed to capture? And you do have to put that away when you're like trying something like that creative approach is just like, okay, hands off, like let whatever that flow happen. And, if it's trash at the end of the day, like that's fine. Like maybe you'd repurpose that trash into something cool too.
I feel like that's the hard part, accepting when something's not working or when something can change, even though you're probably married to that melody or that lyric.
Totally. I think it's also sometimes, I think at the end of the day, if one of us feels really passionately, really strongly, we're like, fine, it's totally fine. But most of the time we lay on this, I feel like our opinion can be changed. We're like, if you can change my mind, totally. Like we're all up for just the best song. And but once in a while it's like either if it's 2 against 1, then that will win, or if it's someone just feels
Rock, paper,
very,
scissors.
very passionate.
I will also say that so many artists I do producing, I don't think that they're separate entities at all. And I think a lot of producers are artists, like they have like, creative feelings about that thing. So I don't necessarily think you need to like separate like those two mindsets. I think they're, complementary.
Right. But I mean, there comes a point where you've listened to the track so many times that a little fix might not change much, because you're still, again, married to that same kind of sound.
Yes. This brings us to us in the mixing process, which is tragic. But I feel like because we know these songs so well, and I have such a vision, I'll be like, I need this vocal up 1 dB or like whatever it is, and it doesn't matter in the in the grand scheme of it.
I think Allie has the affliction of like that minor detail, and I'm at the end of the day like, so
yeah,
I'm ready to just like throw it.
Yeah.
I'm just like at a certain point, like I like macro changes, and those like little microscopic things don't matter to me, but they matter to Allie and John. So
Yeah.
I think that's a good pairing.
It is a good pairing because we'll be like, the snare, I heard it for 1 second and then I lost it and then came back, you know.
Yeah, that one frequency, like I need the, you know, the piano at that 1 second, like it needs to, you know, at a certain point, it's like old records that I love, the Beatles, whatnot, like you couldn't do that stuff. Like everything was like getting pre-mixed as you're, you know, bouncing tracks between. And like at the end of the day, they're kind of just writing faders, doing a little EQ stuff, and that's it. And
it's a dangerous world we live in. It's like there's too many options.
Yeah.
And it makes it, that's why we sat on so many songs for so long, because they didn't feel done. They didn't feel ready. And I feel like that's kind of the world we live in right now, where we have so many options to make things well that it's hard to release them.
And then it loses its feeling, you know, like
too perfect isn't always great. Yeah.
We that's same with like tuning these days. You can make everything sound so perfect that it loses its character. So we try not to do that either. Like there's a balance with everything.
But at the same time, you want everything to sound good, and so the modern tools are incredible, but also, you know,
It's a double-edged sword.
Yeah. We're a band. We want to sound like a band. It's like, you know.
Yeah.
Well, with these songs and maybe even the songs that are on the upcoming debut EP, like where do you feel that you got challenged the most? Was it in the writing process, the recording process, the vocals?
I felt like the writing kind of came out. I love the Tom Waits quote of like sometimes writing's like sucking a dream through a straw, and that's kind of what it felt. It felt very easy to write these songs.
Yeah, it did feel easy to write these songs. I think definitely the challenge has been a lot of the new songs on the EP are stranger than, I think, less atmospheric. There still, of course, is that like Polyglam atmospheric sound, but I think a lot of it is a little weirder. And so with that, like what production choices do we want to make to like fit that?
I think the big, also just timing, like trying to get everything done and like race against the clock is just I think the biggest challenge is like, but it's also kind of the biggest blessing because we are chronic tinkerers.
I don't believe anyone can do anything without a deadline. Like there's just no way. If you have endless time, it just won't get done. And so I feel I'm so grateful that we have a deadline because we work very diligently in that time, and I need that.
Well, I guess to close us off, the debut EP's around the corner. But to close us off, you've been in the industry for some time, so you've seen how the industry has grown. You know how you've evolved as well. But now that you stepped into this band, this project, this music, how do you feel that you've evolved just in this small span of Polyglam?
I feel like the biggest growth of my life has been in this project, for sure, in every way. And I don't know, I just feel, again, I said this earlier, but I feel so grateful that every day I'm working with the two of them. They teach me stuff every day, and I feel like we can be just fully, authentically, uniquely us in such a space that is for us, that is ours, and we get to try so many things, whether it works or not. And I feel like having the space to be vulnerable and have like a safe space with people that you trust and can be like very weird with is everything to me. And I've never had that in my life before Polyglam. Wow. So I feel like I've evolved as a musician and just person because I have that safe space.
Yeah, you know, they're two of my best friends, but I think as far as like being in the band, I think I've felt challenged in a way that I think has helped me musically, how I think about songs and structure and melodies. And yeah, I also feel like, you know, we've kind of created this world that all three of us have agreed. We have a studio together and we've worked on many different projects, and you know, it's just like nice to have people to journey with. Yeah. And you know, I wouldn't trade it for the world to have these two people by my side.
That is cool.
We've also said yes. I think a lot of things have been thrown our way too, like at Polyglam as a band and a production trio entity. And so like short films and other people's records,
That's
you know,
cool.
they ask, can you be part of this? Can you produce this? Can you score this? And we're like, yes, totally. And we've just, I feel like, grown so much because of the opportunities that have thrown our way.
And we trust ourselves. Well, I trust them to that it's going to be, whatever challenge we're going to have, whether it's a deadline or like trying to do this thing that we've never tried before, we're going to make it happen. And I think we all like each other's tastes. And so it's just a good match.
That's awesome. Yeah. This was meant to be. This was meant to happen.
It feels kismet.
Yeah.
For sure.
It sounds like it.
We are blessed.
It sounds like it. Well, thank you for hanging out with me. Thank you for letting me crash your studio session.
Come anytime. This is the type of talk we want to have. So you are welcome anytime.
Perfect. You guys don't see what's out here, but it's like full of greenery. So it's like super relaxing.
We're like in a little cabin in the woods.
I dig it.
Very lucky.
That's why we don't want to finish the record, because then we have to leave here.
Yeah. No, we'll be back every day.
Well, thank you for hanging out with me. You guys be sure to check out Polyglam. New music's out now, and upcoming debut EP is dropping really soon. So thanks for watching on Front Row Live.
Thank you.